Program 56. Using object array, accept employee name, employee number, and salary of any number of employees. Save the data into a file. Then read the data from file and display them. You can modify the code we wrote in Program 55. So this is the code for Program 56, and here is the class named employee. There are a few notable changes in the class. In the last program we had declared string variables. In this program we are declaring character array to capture the employee name and employee number. Float value for salary remains the same. We then declare getData function, which is defined outside the class. Similarly, the printData function is defined outside the class. Program control then enters the main function, and onto line 27. An object named E of the class employee is instantiated. On line 28, the variable for user choice is assigned with default value y. On line 29, we declare the file stream object EF from the fstream class, and so we can open a file for both input and output operations, using this object named EF. On line 30, we instruct to print the message, enter data for employees, onto the output screen. It gets printed. We next need to get employee data from keyboard as user entry, and then have it written into a file. So we have to open a file in the output mode. Hence on line 31, using the file stream object EF, we open an output file named employeedetails.txt in the local disk drive E. Program control next checks the while loop on line 32. Since the variable user choice has been assigned value small lettered y, the control enters while loop and getData function within the object E gets invoked. The user is prompted to enter employee name, employee number, and salary. The information is entered through display terminal. The data collected is then written into the object. In the code, program control shifts to line 35. It simply instructs to use the file stream object EF and write the contents of object E to the file employeedetails.txt. So the block of data, written to the allotted size of object E, gets written to the file. On line 36, the user is prompted, do you want to enter more records? Yes or no, as Y or N. I type in Y. Then the while loop repeats execution. The whole process continues. New employee data is being asked. I enter the new data. It's copied to the object and from there, to the file as a memory block of data. Once again the user is asked if they want to enter more data. This time it's a no, and so I type N. Program control exits the while loop and shifts to line 40. Remember that the cin.ignore function on line 38 clears memory buffer of input device, which can result in auto-skipping of the next keyboard entry. So now, as per line 40, the file we had opened for writing data into it is closed. And then, in the very next line we once again open this file in read mode. On line 42, it's instructed that in the file that is opened, the internal file pointer has to place itself at location 0 from the beginning of file. On line 43 the title, employee information, is printed on output screen. Then using the while loop, first block of data is retrieved from the file, employeedetails.txt, and is written to the class object, E. In program code, control shifts to line 46, where it says to execute the printData function of object, E. And so, the printData function works. The data is printed onto terminal screen. Similarly, the next set of data is written from file into the object, and then onto output screen. The file is closed, and program ends. So in this program, you learned how to collect data into an array of objects, write them into a file, and then to retrieve contents from the file into an object and then print it on screen. In our next session, we will learn about constructors and destructors that are used in class and objects.